Now, obviously, shorts is a much different. I totally understand and agree with what you're talking about as far as friction around like creating in general. It's so much different now. There's no special equipment required. Everyone's a creator. Everyone has a phone, and everyone has the ability to publish and is looking for platforms that can provide a spot to do that. So makes a ton of sense. But from the viewing side of things, obviously the experience of viewing very short form, swipeable content it's quite a big difference from sitting down and watching something that's 10 minutes long, never mind something that's like half an hour long, and paying attention over the course of that entire timestamp. Do you worry at all, whether you're speaking on behalf of YouTube or yourself as a person who's just immersed in it, do you worry at all about the habit of watching tremendously short content and flipping between it rapidly? It's something we talk about on this show on a frequent basis. Are there any concerns there about that?
And just to make sure I understand your question, Lou, you're saying it more from like a kind of changing viewer behavior or like a cannibalistic standpoint, or
well, I mean, I guess there's that, but there's also just like sort of the, I've been on YouTube for over 10 years.
Yep.
And obviously I've been through the many phases of sort of important components that are inside of videos that you would publish, including the age of watch time, where it was tremendously important for a period of time, and consistency and other characteristics. Is it possible that a user that engages primarily with shorts, that their taste or that their habit becomes tuned for that type of content exclusively? Are you seeing anything on your end that implies that once a person becomes a shorts viewer, that they're primarily interested in shorts, or do they mix it up? Like, of course, I'm out here in the world. I see statistics. I see the type of numbers that other platforms are pulling. This is a very powerful medium, the idea of ultra short form content. And I guess the question is there a conditioning that's taking place? Is there a possibility that short form viewers become poor long form viewers?
Yeah, now I understand your question. I think it's an interesting one. I'll just, in short, I haven't seen any evidence of that at all at this point. And I think we see viewers consuming both types of content. It obviously varies. There's obviously kind of a huge kind of range in there in terms of the types of viewers, but I haven't seen any sort of sort of change in behavior or a new set of users where they're just consuming sort of one type of content versus the other. Again, sort of back to sort of what YouTube is looking to do. I think from our mission is to kind of give everybody a voice and show them the world. I talked about giving everybody a voice. That's what we do for our creators, building that stage. And for creators, it's got to be about the best tools for longer form content. It's got to be about the best products for short form content. It should be about the best set of products for whatever our creators are looking to do. And so if I flip that on its head in terms of showing all our viewers the world, that has to be about the entire breadth of video content. Whether you're on YouTube and you're watching, a 2-hour documentary or a tech unboxing video or anything else, or you're just on it, kind of while you're waiting in line and you have a minute and you watch, 3 or 4 shorts. Our job is to be able to cater to all of those use cases in a way that actually delivers real satisfaction to our viewers. And so that's the goal. That's how we approach it, as opposed to, kind of one type of format sort of changing, behavior in any particular way. I really don't think it's binary like that.
Yeah, well, no. And I like the fact that you keep using this word satisfaction, because I think that there's some kind of comfort for me in that word, in that really that's the component that I would, and we already talked about this as far as those surveys are concerned. It's like the metric, the view metric is kind of the part that becomes obsessive for a lot of creators. It's like, I got to hit a certain number of views, or I have a certain criteria for that. But in reality, there might be more value sometimes in approaching content that doesn't necessarily compete strictly on that via that criteria. And so, like, because when I think of long form, or I think of something like you said about learning, or there's all this subject matter which might not be the hottest or the quickest or something like this, but for those that engage with it, they might derive tremendous value from it. So I think my only point or piece that I would put in there is that if satisfaction remains paramount, and there's a way to actually track it and deliver it, then I feel comfortable that all these things can coexist, because then the stuff that will surface is going to be hopefully the most valuable or satisfactory to the end user, whether it's short or long.
Yeah, I think you encapsulate it really well there. I mean, I think that is certainly the goal, which is ultimately the idea is to have our viewers be satisfied with their experience on YouTube over the long run. And that's going to be a collection of different types of things, depending on whatever their interest is on a particular day or wherever they are, in their life, whatever their, again, content that they might be consuming with the rest of their family or friends or what have you. And so all of those things should factor into our viewers' experience really all over the world. And I think, one of the things that's really interesting to me is how do we actually convey that value to our creators too, right? So not just give them the insights like we talked about earlier in this conversation, but also are there things that we could do to create, economic value for our creators from that satisfaction in a way that's actually fair to creators that are producing different types of content. That's why we're so invested in kind of a diversity of monetization options too, not just advertising. Obviously, that's the primary one. As you know, we have subscription offerings with, YouTube Premium, et cetera. But we have all of these other sort of alternative monetization products, direct fan funding, super chat, super stickers, memberships, right? Memberships gets at some of what you're describing, which is content that might be incredibly valuable from a satisfaction standpoint to a smaller subset of users. How do you actually deliver that value, like almost like a fan club to kind of your most ardent fans, et cetera? So we'll also be looking for those types of opportunities for our creators as well.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I am personally connected to a large number of creators, and many of whom have been doing this for a long time and have sort of watched the view counts go up and down, and they've been on the view count hamster wheel. And I think there's some kind of fatigue that comes from that hunt and that chase. There's good stuff that comes from it too, but there's also it also can be tough. And I think like this type of the interest that you have in this alternative approach, or in this approach which also aims at possibly serving alternative niches in different ways with different revenue and revenue opportunities, et cetera. That's it sounds promising, and I think it could probably help some of those channels, really focus in and zero in on how they could add value and how they could get positive feedback, because that acts as the fuel. I've been doing this for so long. It's this feedback, the metrics, whichever ones you choose to focus on, that can provide the fuel necessary to go publish that next one and keep the whole thing moving. And of course, on the flip side of that, it can go completely the other direction as well, which I'm speaking on behalf of other creators in my DMs who they might not be feeling super warm and fuzzy about whatever's happening with their channel at different times. So yeah, I think that type of diversity in evaluation of metrics could be the antidote to that eternal view count hamster wheel.
Yeah, no, I think that's great feedback, and I've certainly heard similar sentiment as well, and that's why diversifying the metrics, diversifying the monetization products, et cetera, is something we're focused on. If you have any other thoughts for things that we should be looking at or looking to do there to make it better for our creators, obviously let me know about that as well, because definitely very open to seeing what we could either build into Studio or YTA or just publish separately that I think would be valuable just as a motivation and insights, but also very open to ideas for products and features that you think might help with that as well.